Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's lesson. Let's go over today's lesson objective. So, today we will explain data on a stem and leaf plot. All right, let's go ahead and get into our lesson success criteria. So, we have two lesson success criteria. So, our first lesson success criteria is I can create a stem and leaf plot. And the second success criteria is I can explain data on a stem and leaf plot. And for this video, we are actually going to be focusing on success criteria number 2. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and get into what is data. So, data is a collection of information gathered by observation, questioning, or measurement. So, here is an example of our data. And so, we asked question, what sport do we play? And we got some information about it, right? So, data is just giving us information. All right. And then a stem and leaf plot is a way to present our data. So, we can present our data in a bunch of different ways, but with the stem and leaf plot, the plot it's a plot where each data value is split into a leaf and a stem. So here is an example of a stem and leaf plot, and we're going to go into what this means. What does this data mean? But this is what an example of a stem and leaf plot is, and it actually splits our numbers into a stem and a leaf portion. So let's go ahead and look at an example of a stem and leaf plot. Right? So over here we have Dan, and he got a job selling smoothies during his summer vacation. He earned in dollars each day. His earnings in dollars each day are listed below. So in this stem and leaf plot, this is going to tell us what his earnings are, how much he earned each day. Right? So when we are looking at a stem and leaf plot, we always have two portions, right? We have the stem, we have the leaf. Now, we have to make sure that we take a look at our key. So our key is going to tell us how the stem and the leaf were split, because with the stem and leaf plot, our numbers are split depending on their digits. So over here we have our key, we have our 2, which is showing us this is our stem. So this would fall into this category, right? And then we have our 3, which is our leaf. That is would fall into this category. So if we were to put that together, a stem of 2 and a leaf of 3 is going to be equal to $23. So let's go ahead and do this with everything else and see what his earnings are. So let's look at our first stem of 0. So our first stem is 0, our leaf is 5. So what that means is that our first data point was 0, 5. And because 0, 5 is the same as 5, because 0 tens is just equal to 5. So our first data point is 5. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this, and we're going to go ahead and fill in the rest of our data, or figure out what the rest of our data points are. So we had 5 is our first data point. We have 8 is our second data point. And then we look over here and we have 9. That is our next data point, right? So we got our first stem and leaf set completed. Now let's look at our second stem and leaf set. So we have a stem of 1 and a leaf of 0, which is going to be equal to 10, right? So that data point is done. We have a stem of 10, a leaf of 1, that's equal to 11. We have a stem of 1, a leaf of 2, which is equal to 12. We have a stem of 1, a leaf of 2, that's equal to 12. We have another stem of 1, another leaf of 2, that is equal to 12. And then we have a stem of 1 and then a leaf of 7, which is equal to 17. Okay, now let's look at our next data point. So we have a stem of 2, a leaf of 1, that's 21. Then we have a stem of 2, a leaf of 2, that's 22. I'm going to cross those out. Stem of 2, leaf of 3, that is 23. Stem of 2, leaf of 6, 26. Okay, so that's our next one. And then our final row. So we have a stem of 3, a leaf of 0, that is equal to 30. Stem of 3, leaf of 1, that's equal to 31. Stem of 3, leaf of 5, that is equal to 35. So here are all of our data points that we put into our stem and leaf graph. Okay, all right, so now that we have that, let's go ahead and answer some questions related to our data. So our first question is, this is the same information that we had before, and it's asking us, how many days of earnings are in the plot? So we have to go ahead and go through all of our earnings and figure this out. Now we can write everything out like we did before, or we can also just look at our leaves because we have our stems and then our leaves will just tell us how many we have. Because for this one row, if I were to write these numbers out, I have my data points will be 5, 8, and 9. So I have 3 data points right from there, and I have 3 leaves. So that'll tell me that. So now I can go ahead and count my leaves. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So I have 16 data points from this stem and leaf plot. Okay. All right. Now let's go ahead and look at our second question. How much money did he earn on his best day? So we're looking for the day that he made the most amount of money. So we know from our stem and leaf graph, each one of these is worth one day's worth of earnings. So I know looking at my stems, I can kind of figure out, okay, which one is the highest. So I know that at my stems, the 3 is the highest stem, right? And then I can look at the leaves. So each of these points, so I have 30 from that leaf, I have 31, and then I have 35. So now I can see that my most successful day was 35, the leaf of 35, right? So that is the day that we made the most money, just looking at our plot. Now it says, how many days did he earn less than $20? All right, let me go ahead and erase this because it's getting a little bit busy. So how many days did he earn less than $20? So now let's go ahead and take a look at this data. So I know that looking at my data, anything that is going to be from here in this quadrant right here is going to be more than $20, right? Because it starts at 21. And so that means I have more than $20. So I don't even need to worry about this data right here. Now, everything above it is going to be less than 21, right? Because I have 10, 11, 12, 12 again, 12, and 17, right? So what I can do is I can count my leaves again to see how many days we made less than $20 because we know all of these leaves and all of these stems are going to be less than 20. So let's count them. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 data points that are going to be less than 20. So we can put down 9. That's that answer right there. Now, last but not least, this question asks, what amount did he earn the most often? Now, let me go ahead and erase this again, just so we have more room to see. There we go. Okay. All right. So now, what amount did he earn the most often? So now we got to look at our leaves. So I'm looking in each row to see which number I had the most often. So in the first row, I have 5, I have 8, and I have 9. In my second leaves, I have 10, 11, 12. I have 12 again, and I have 12 again, and then I have 17. So I can see right over here, I have 3 data points of 12. So that seems like I have the most, right? Because everything else I've only seen one time. So now let's look at our stem of 2. Do I see anything that happens more, any leaves that happen more than 3 times? I do not, right? Everything happens once. Same thing for my stem of 3. So what amount did he earn the most often? So he actually earned $12 on 3 days, which means he earned $12 the most often. Okay, so that was kind of our information from our stem and leaf plot. So let's go ahead and take a review of our lesson objective. So today we explained, data on a stem and leaf plot. All right, I hope this was helpful. Make sure to do your practice activities, and I'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.